is up, guys? Today we're filming episode 2 of Life After Lockup. Let me do my intro really quick because I don't want to forget. So if you're new, subscribe, like this video, comment, check out my other videos if you haven't already. Check out my socials, everything's linked down below. If you're not keeping up with them, you are missing out. And turning post vacations, make sure you check out episode 1 recap. I already posted it like 3-4 days ago, so make sure you check it out. It's good, it's great. And also my latest video that I posted about Michael Rainey, it would greatly appreciate it. Leave a like and a comment, let me know your thoughts. I like to read your guys' comments all the time. Speaking of comments, I did get a comment the other day about the first episode recap, and I'm gonna put a screenshot of the comment on here. You can pause to read it. It was a really good take, because I didn't think about how like the paparazzi found Gypsy and Ryan at the outlet mall. I did not ever think how they would have gotten it. And I don't know if you guys remember me saying that I felt like Ryan liked the fact that the cameras were following them. He had like this look, like he was trying to act like confused about it, but I think he thoroughly enjoyed it. But this person was saying basically like, how would they know where they were? Maybe Ryan tipped them. Very excited to cover episode 2. Episode starts off about Gypsy Rose's like panic attack from last week's episode. We already know how that went. She was just worried about like violating her parole, and the attorney had to like explain to her like, in order to violate your parole, you have to commit something in order to be taken in. Felt like the Missouri parole officer was just missing a piece of information, and that's how they end up where they were. Ryan gets a call from the Missouri parole officer, but this time it was like a different person. It wasn't the same man as from before. It was actually a woman's voice. He goes on to say that she needs to understand that the Missouri PO is giving her a directive to leave Missouri to Louisiana, just like last week. Just a repetitive cycle, you know. She was asking like, oh, do I have to leave now, or can I leave in the following morning? And then she's like, well, I would like you, like she would like her to go immediately, but she ended up letting her she ended up leaving in the noon the next day. Missouri PO states that the state of Missouri still retains responsibility of her supervision regardless of what Louisiana said until she decides to report. And then she also says everything she does is reported back to Missouri, and then the Missouri still has the final say of what the state of her parole is. So I thought that was kind of crazy, because I didn't know, like I thought after she gets to Louisiana, like they won't haggle her so much, but even when she's in Louisiana, they still have control of her. They can still say whatever they want to decide her fate or whatever, which is kind of stressful. I mean, I think she took that situation very well, in my opinion. I would be like gulping and crying on the inside, because I don't like the feeling of being controlled. So I would be upset, in my opinion, if I was told that. Honestly, I don't even know how you're supposed to take it, but she took it pretty well. Then it pans to Gypsy talking to her mom and Mia about her sex life. She talked about how her and Ryan consummated the marriage. She said it was good. And I'm just gonna say this, I feel like she only said it was good because that was like the first DICK she had in 8.5 years. So anything is good if you haven't had like sex in 8.5 years. Mia like kind of like talks her on the side, and they talk in her room, and they start discussing the topic of contraception. And she was like, oh, did you figure out how like birth control works? And Gypsy was like, no, I don't know, we only use condoms right now. And she said that she's basically like, she's not on birth control, like any type of contraceptive. So her sister asked if she wants to have kids right away, because I don't know if she thought like she was trying to have kids right away. But if you're using condoms, like condoms can be used as a contraceptive too. I mean, people think also like once the girl is on birth control, they think that it's like okay to have sex unprotected because of that. But I feel like if like, because they give you like this percentage at like the OBGYN, like, oh, you have like this percentage of getting pregnant, and I feel like people just go off of that, but there is a very high chance of getting pregnant in a lot of these. Like, I think I was a birth control baby, and also my brother was a birth control baby, so and we were 2 different birth control methods, and that should just tell you it don't work. That she was also saying that she doesn't want to have kids right away. She wants to like enjoy her marriage and settle into that, because at this point it was like a day after her release and she's still trying to like get in the groove of being a married woman now. Sister also asked a very valid question, and she said that she was wondering if like the medications that she was on was going to hinder her chances of having a child. And Gypsy said that, you know, she got like 2 pap smears in prison, and they said that she was fine, like tons of, I don't even know how many, but she had tons and tons and tons of unnecessary surgeries pretty much her whole life, and who knows what that did to her reproductive system. And I don't know how valid those OBs in prison are. So yeah. And then her family decides to host like a welcome home party, also open presents that day too, because she came days after Christmas, so it was basically like a welcome home party slash Christmas thing. Decided to open presents at this time, and she was gifted new boots by Ryan. Ryan was helping her put it on, because you know how like geeked she was about these boots. Like, she's been talking about new shoes for a while, and I don't know what, this part really bothered me, because like as he was helping her like put on the boot, he was like, because she couldn't fit it over her calf, so she's like, I have big calves, and then he said to suck it in. Bitch, you have no right to say that when you're built like Peter Griffin. Y'all see how he's built.
Oh, looks like you are the one that's been impressed.
He also gifts her like a Louis Vuitton like red bottoms heels, and Rod gifted her like a necklace. I couldn't tell how the this happened, but he gifted her like this necklace, and it had a bunch of things on it that I don't know if he personally wrote on the necklace or it was something that he got off of Google, but it was like a essay's worth of stuff that it was written on that necklace, and it seemed like it was a very small necklace. I don't know how the hell he fit it on something super small like that. The confessional, Mia decides to say her little part, and she said that she's always been a daddy's little girl for 22 years, and then she goes on to reflect that she's still her and her dad have like a really good relationship, and she's still trying to get used to having a sister around. And then she was like, oh, I want her to experience what it's like to have him in her life. Like, I want it to be their turn. But I don't know, I was kind of irritated by this, because I felt like she was kind of taking away the fact that like it was supposed to be her moment, but she kind of made it into like it was a Mia's moment. Like, it's all about me. Like, yeah, I had my dad all my life. Like, me and him are straight. We were like this. We're like this. But it's not about that right now. If they want to make a spin-off show about Mia Blanchard or whatever you want to call her, I'll do that, but it's not about Mia, okay? I was a little taken back by that, because I was just like, okay, she's kind of coming off a little self-absorbed right now. So when they leave for their 13-hour road trip, Ryan points out again, as they were pulling out of the garage of the dad's house, that 2 paparazzi cars were following them. And again, this brings me back to that comment that I mentioned earlier in this video. How did they find out where they were? They go to like a little pit stop. They go to like a fast food restaurant, and they're at the drive-thru, and the drive-thru worker is like, hey, can you pull up to the yellow line? And then Ryan is like, oh, like, I can't do that. There's someone over there taking pictures of us, because I'm with Gypsy Rose Blanchard, because he put a lot of emphasis on the fact that he's with Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Like, he said her first, middle, and last name, and I think he was expecting a reaction like, oh my god, it's Gypsy Rose Blanchard. But like, to be honest, like, from her reaction, like, I don't think she gave a fuck. I guess they were like blocked in from like exiting the drive-thru spot, because there was like a paparazzi in front of them taking a bunch of pictures, and it was just like annoying how Ryan was acting super duper weird about this situation, because he was even like, oh, don't eat while they got their food. He was like, don't eat in front of the paparazzi. Like, he kind of said it rude, and I was just like, I'm a little confused on that part. If you want to let me know like what that means. I don't know what the fuck it means. Like, why can't you eat in front of paparazzi? And I don't know why he thinks he knows everything about paparazzi. This is the first time he's been in the spotlight before, so I don't know why he's like thinking that he knows every little thing about it, because I want to know why he said that. During their trip, Gypsy brings up the fact that Christy, her stepmom, gets a text from her ex Ken. If you don't know who Ken is, it's her ex-boyfriend from like 2017. They were together for 2 years and they broke off while she was still in prison. They were also like engaged as well, but obviously didn't get that far. I don't know why he broke up with her. I don't know what the real reason why they broke up. No one is like really saying why. Even online, people were just kind of making speculations about what the why they're not together, and I want to know why. I want to know the tea. Like, I want to know everything. I'm nosy. I want all the chismosa. So she was talking about how she got the like text from her ex Ken. She was like smiling and shit, like she liked the fact that he reached out to her mom, and he was saying that he was excited that she got out. Ryan was like, oh, like, does he even respect our marriage? Like, no, he said if the mom respect their marriage, and she's like, yeah, like she respects our marriage or whatever. But he started like showing off like a lot, because he's like, oh, like he was making like a lot of weird faces at the camera intentionally to be like, yeah, I got Gypsy and what, and he kept saying that like Ken doesn't like him and stuff like that. I don't know what the beef is between the two, but he just kept saying he doesn't like him. They both don't like each other apparently, but he seems very jealous, and I think Gypsy probably still had some lingering feelings about Ken, because the way she just like talks about him, like she talks about him like that's her first love and stuff. It's very highly of him. So, and I think, like I said before, I think they're still together. They do lives together, so she's just kind of hopping from person to person. They arrived to the apartment. This is Ryan's apartment. They were putting clothes away and decorating, and there's like a lot of decorations for Gypsy on there. There's like a little sign that says Ryan and Gypsy. It was cute. It changes colors and all that stuff, and he was like, he gave her like a little calendar that was like cats themed, but it was also like a Star Wars themed, and it was very cute. So as they were doing all that stuff, Ryan says that he is happy to have Gypsy all to himself. But then he goes on to say that he feels like Gypsy's family is jealous because he has all the time with her and they don't have a lot of time with her. So it was just kind of giving like a little bit of jealousy issues. Like, maybe they're not jealous, maybe you're jealous that they want to spend more time with her, and it seems like he's never with his family. It's just kind of weird. I feel like since he's such a hover person, like he hovers over her so much, it stresses me out how much he hovers. But I feel like when, you know, once they started hanging out more and more, like her and her family started hanging out more and more, I feel like he should have like drove somewhere, like so he can like give them their time, so it doesn't feel like he's micromanaging her every move. Because every time she gave anyone a hug, every time she did anything without him, he's always like, and I just don't like that for her, honestly. It's very stressful to watch. It's very uncomfortable to watch because, you know, at this point it was like 1 or 2 days since she was being released, and it's been so much going on in the last 2 days of her being released. It hasn't even been a week, and there's been so many red flags, so many crazy things happening. Like, this is like different. Like, you could have her time all the time because you guys are married and you guys are living in an apartment together, but I just wish he could have like given her the time to herself alone. Like, he could have dropped her off, or her dad could have drove her there and they could have had a little date and stuff like that. But that's just my opinion. It's just he hovers too much and he's a little controlling, and he also said that he knows Gypsy better than other people, And then he also says that he's okay with sharing her with their family, which was weird. I don't know why he said that. But then Gypsy sews like all her little lingerie collection. This is when she starts talking about her sexuality and coming to terms with her sexuality. I think she's bisexual. Talking about how Ryan provided lingerie when they were barely dating. That was weird. I don't know, maybe I'm reaching, but I've never been gifted a lingerie with any of my ex-boyfriends, and I think I'd be a little bit weirded out if, unless I really want it, like maybe like that would be a cool gift. She said that she wasn't like initially comfortable with her sexuality, and then she said that she was like very insecure with her body because she's covered from pretty much head to toe in surgical scars. Then she said she began to question her sexuality like probably around preteen, teenage stage, because she had a feeling that she was into women. And then when she was in prison, she got to experiment with that. So we get to really like kind of see how she is. She's kind of opening up a little bit more and more about who she is. She was worried about having a low libido, and then she when she got, I don't know if it was like during prison, like when she barely got married, or being released. I don't know if it was any of those time frames or just in general, but she was worried about having a low libido because she wasn't comfortable with who she was. When she started becoming more comfortable with herself, she was like, damn, like I'm a freak. I'm a freak. We should play that song by Cupcake and then have her over it, because that's what it was giving. Maybe I should put the clip in. But the family decides to come down to their apartment to celebrate New Year's Eve at their place, and then Gypsy got to try steak for the first time, which every time they make mentions of this is her first time, this is her first time, it makes you really like be grateful of the things that you do have, because those are things that I do not think about. Like, why would you think having ribeye steak was like legendary? Because it's something that you don't really have. I doubt that they sell that in prison, and if they did, people would probably be fighting over it. She just has to pull Christy aside because she was like really bothered by something that happened in the past that she never got to address. Apparently she was in these wheelchair races, and Gypsy's family got to go watch her do them, and one of those people was Rod and Christy. She said that Dee Dee was upset because she's like, this is why I don't bring them here, because they keep talking bad about you all the time. And she was like, what are they saying? Like, I don't know what they're saying. And apparently, like, she said that Rod called her a artard. She was really taken back by that, because obviously that is a very, 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 very hurtful word to say. She was saying that she's only saying that because that's how Dee Dee views Gypsy. And maybe that's right, maybe that's true. She also was saying that she felt like she was trying to take her away from everyone, and that's also probably true, because I was thinking back to the act and she was pretty isolated in that. It was always her, and even in the show, Gypsy's mom was always watching every little thing they did. I think there was an episode where the CPS worker was there, and she was like coaching her on what to say, and she was also like looking over her shoulder and telling her like what to say. And but she didn't like when she had friends. I remember that episode too, because she made friends and they were kind of like making notates of like how she acted, because she noticed that like her teeth were rotting out of her face, and that she didn't experience a lot of things that they experienced. So maybe Christy is right, because in the show, like, she couldn't be around anyone, so she confided to people online because she was that isolated all the time. Gypsy went upstairs to pick out a dress, and I think it's also to continue the celebration of the New Year's thing. And it was a really wholesome moment. I really actually like this part, because her and her dad got to finally have like a little father-daughter dance. Little thing is an accomplishment for her, because she get to experience a lot of things. And Christy was also doing like her makeup, and she looked really pretty. Like, I'm not gonna fault you for this. Like, Gypsy's a very pretty person. Like, even when she was pulling Christy aside to talk about the wheelchair races, I don't know who did her lashes, and who did her makeup, but I don't feel like she really needs a lot to look good. Like, her body looks nice, like she is a very pretty person. And Jessie is in the kitchen trying to learn how to cook, because she said that she only knows how to cook like these pasta dinner thingies, and it's like in this green packet, and I swear to you, those are like the ones that are already instant made, and all you have to do is like boil some like butter and some milk. Like, it seems very easy to do, so it's not really like necessarily cooking in probably a lot of people's eyes, but she didn't know how to make it. I mean, know how to make a lot of things. I think that was like the only thing she knows how to make. And she said that she didn't know how to cook because her mom Dee Dee did that for her. She provided for her for the last 24 years of her life. She decides to make this drink called, I think it's called, she called it the rack, and she made it a lot in prison. Like, she drank it pretty much every other day is what she said. And basically it had instant coffee in it, soda, crushed Jolly Ranchers, juice, and it was served with like ice. And when she was mixing it, it was like very thick, and it was like this weird color. Decided to give it to Ryan, and before she even put it down his throat, he was already complaining about it. And I hate when people complain about something they've never tried before, and they're already like, I don't like it, I don't like it, I don't like it, and they're already like talking shit about it. And then sometimes they end up liking it, or sometimes they just don't even try it, or they just straight up don't like it. But he was already bitching about it. And then he also made a comment saying, oh, like, I hope your PO doesn't call because there's like a bunch of powder on the counter. Time I peep his jokes, they're not jokes, they're very like passive aggressive undertones. I've said all his jokes probably because she feels like she has to, but they are so mean. Like, that was very rude. I don't even know if people even peeped that, but he says things so quickly that you have to really pay attention to what he's saying, because when he says those jokes, you have to really pay attention, because they're always like some slick-handed shit all the time. Personally, if I would have heard that, I would have backhanded him. I would have slapped him so hard he would have been skinny. I would have given him gastric bypass surgery with my slap. That's how hard it would have been. Tried it, he didn't like it, of course. I'm kind of tempted to try it. Then Gypsy brings up to the fact that she wants to have a dog because soon Ryan will be going back to work, and she doesn't want to be alone. So she was like, I want a dog, I want a puppy. But Ryan kept talking to her like a kid. She's like, he was like saying, well, dogs are a lot of responsibility. You have to walk them, you have to feed them, all the shit that you would be told as like a child. Like, I feel like this is how my dad kind of talks to me, and he would kind of talk to me like a child all the time, even though I've been an adult for 6 years. And he's always kind of talked to me like down like a child. And the way that he was talking to her was kind of reminding me of that, because he would just kind of talk to me in like this baby voice all the time, and it would just infuriate me. And I would be like, yo, like, I'm an adult now, like, you can stop talking to me like that. I think even around 10 years old I was getting irritated by it, because I was just like, why does he keep talking to me like a baby? Like, the thing is, like, I'm so happy about how Gypsy handled this, because she was like setting boundaries, she was expressing herself, she let it be known that like if something is bothering her, she will go up to that person and be like, this is bothering me. Doesn't matter who the fuck it is, she'll be like, this is bothering me. And I really condone her for that, because it's hard. I know that was very hard for her to do, because she couldn't do it for 24 years of her life. So he was using the excuse like also that since they're in an apartment they can't have dogs, and then she's like, everyone has dogs here, so what is your point here? I want to say that she is scared of being independent because she's always had someone with her, had to live with people all her life, so she's never been fully alone before. She's always had her mom. Then when she went to prison, she lived with 3 people. Then she went to communal living, and then now she's here with her husband. Very scared of like what may come, and she was like finding comfort in how controlled prison was. And I think what worried me when she said that was it seemed like she was kind of reverting back to like her old ways when she said that, because she's known nothing but control. You see, it makes sense to find comfort in being controlled when you're in a controlled environment. We're looking online for a dog to adopt. Ryan decides to lean over her as per usual, and then she's like, yo, like, you're hovering over me. And I was very proud of her for that, because in the first episode she wasn't saying that, and I think it's because she was still trying to process everything. She just got out, and also like everything was being thrown at her at once, and she probably didn't have time to be like, yeah, you're hovering over me. But her body language was saying a lot of different things. And also, well, she was kind of always like leaning away from him and kind of like slowly backing away from him when he would get close to her, and he wasn't catching the cues a lot of the times. And I think she did kind of slightly say it in the hotel room. I remember that now. She said that she needs like her space. Like, she said it nicely, but he wasn't getting the gist. Like, he's probably one of those people that you have to tell them like straight up and straightforward, like, I need my space. Because when she said it, he left her alone. Then Gypsy gets upset because Ryan was talking to her like a child, because she just like was saying how she doesn't like to be talked to like she's dumb. She doesn't like to be talked to like a child, because she's like, I've had pets before, like, I know how to take care of them.
I would love for you to have the dog. A responsibility.
I mean, I don't see any issues. I stay at home while you're at work.
You want a puppy. Mm-hmm. You want to start from the ground up.
Yeah.
I remember you have to take them for walks. You have to pick up their pee. You have to pick up their food.
I'm not an idiot. I know how to care for a dog.
I didn't say you were an idiot.
Why are you treating me like one?
Oh, no. No.
That's the kind of that you tell a child. It's a lot of responsibility, you know.
I think you can do great
I've
with it.
had animals before.
I know.
Just please don't treat me like I'm a child. Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Goes to like the balcony to cool off and stuff like that. She mentioned like a few times that she was like irritated. Well, she said mad. She was mad in the confessional, that she feels like people have the wrong perception of her due to her not having a lot of like life experiences, so they kind of infantilize her because of it. And she doesn't like when people do that, because I feel like it puts her in a bubble. Like, she's like, I'm trying to have like my own life, I'm trying to learn things on my own, and people just keep talking to me like a child. And I understand how frustrating that can be, like not feeling like you're being taken seriously as an adult. I think she was just like getting triggered by the fact that she was being infantilized, because her mom did that forever up until she was an adult. So I think it was just very triggering, and I think she just couldn't find the words to say that she was triggered. But she was mentioning her mom around this point a lot. Whenever she feels triggered, she goes back to talking about her mom. And Ryan's like, oh, I don't like when people talk to you like you're a kid or when you're stupid. And then Gypsy ate with this one line right here. She's like, but you're acting just like them. He goes on to his little confessional saying that like he doesn't want to be seen as a controlling husband. He wants, like, he's trying to give her little independence, which I don't know how or where. It seems like he gets mad whenever she's on her phone a lot too. He was saying that like he understands where she's coming from, because he doesn't like he's like, oh, I have triggers too. And I'm trying not to be like her mom, and I don't like when he didn't like when people compared her to her mom. So he was saying that he has triggers. He doesn't like the feeling of being abandoned, and he was trying to like compare the traumas, even though being abandoned and having unnecessary surgeries done to you without your consent are two different things, bud. This is not the fight of who's more traumatic, who's more has the most PTSD. Like, this isn't the fight to the death of that. This is just her trying to express herself, and he's just kind of like, he was butthurt by the fact that she was like, I don't like that you're hovering over me. You could tell that he was butthurt by it, because as he was walking away, he was still kind of like talking down to her about the puppy thing. But they ended up getting a puppy. We saw that on Instagram, on a TikTok, where they got this little dog. It was like a black and white dog. I don't know what the breed of her was, but she was named Pixie or something. That's pretty much all. That's how it ends. It's kind of got messy at the end, but I don't really feel like it was resolved, but I think it's gonna keep happening until she finds a way to leave. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. I would like to read your guys' comments on this episode. It was very chill. It was kind of slow. There wasn't a lot happening like the first episode. Like when the first episode happened, there was like 50 billion things going wrong. But with this episode, it was kind of recapping from last week, and then there were like some little things here and there going on. It basically, like, I'm glad it was kind of lighthearted, because if it's not, it's kind of stressful to watch. Like, I'm elated to see where this goes, but I've learned that the reason why she was in New York was because of a parole meeting. And here, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you follow my Spotify, check out my Patreon, all that stuff. Everything's linked down below. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.